What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite for yet another zombies video here for you guys. I usually make about one a week whenever there's strong material, but there was more material than usual this week, so tonight we're going to be talking about new secrets about the Season 4 zombies experience, the potential Riese remake, and even a new Great War. Definitely stay tuned. But before I jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and as a reminder, tonight is your last chance to enter my free Season 3 Battle Pass giveaway, in case you guys need one. All you have to do is make sure you're subscribed to the channel and comment a bomb emoji down below, and I'll be picking a winner in this Friday's Bombcast. Hope to see you there. I'll do a similar giveaway for Season 4's Battle Pass, which is going to release in about, 2.5 weeks time. I cannot believe how close we are to the start of the next season, which is when we'll also be seeing the second main quest added to Outbreak. But in the background, we have some Crank 2 gameplay here on Firebase Z. I was a fan of Crank when it released on D-Machina a couple of months ago, but this new variation of Crank is a bit different. It fits the 80s theme a little bit, so we spawn in with a knife, and the mystery box is full of support items until some of the later waves when you'll start seeing weapons in the mystery box. It's a bit of a challenge, but correct me in the comments, the Ray K quest isn't available in Cranked on Firebase Z. I wasn't able to actually finish the quest, but for some reason was able to grab the blueprint and the eyeball, so I was like, wait, what's going on with the side quest here? Not surprised though, the main quest itself is disabled, so wouldn't be shocked if the side quests are as well. Now, as a bit of a disclaimer, I am a bit under the weather, so excuse my commentary if it sounds a bit off, and my gameplay unfortunately corrupted, so I had to go to the PS5 share button to grab this Cranked gameplay. Hopefully you guys understand. But Treyarch did drop a new update in Black Ops Colder today, which brought us Rambo's gun game, 3v3 gunfight, multi-team elimination updates, which I'll be talking about in tomorrow's video, the snipers only mosh pit in quick play, die hardpoint, 12v12 mosh pit, along with standoff 24/7, and even more. I'll leave their new blog post down below in the description in case you guys are interested. They've released yet another multiplayer and Outbreak free access event, and as they said, you can download the game for free and jump into Rambo's gun game, die hardpoint, standoff 24/7, nuketown 24/7, and even Outbreak with the full quest on top of Onslaught if you're on a PlayStation. So this will be live right now until June 1st. Take advantage of that while you guys can, but one thing I really wanted to bring up about this is that it does seem like Activision is really testing the waters with a free-to-play zombies experience. I've never seen zombies go free-to-play this much. We saw events, I think, during Black Ops 3 and 4, but every once in a while. We've gotten a free Outbreak event, I think 3 times now since the mode released. So I think in the next year or even 2, we'll end up seeing Outbreak on its own go free to play, and I think Outbreak to zombies will be what Warzone is to multiplayer. I know multiplayer and Warzone are drastically different, but Outbreak is being looked at as its own entity at the moment. That's what I feel. So I think in Treyarch's next game, at the very least, round-based maps could be locked behind owning a full copy of that new Black Ops, or even a Zombies Pass if they brought that back again. But Outbreak on its own could just be a standalone application with new regions every once in a while, a main quest. You know, Outbreak will still be important, but I think they'll separate that from the core Call of Duty experience similar to Warzone. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but even if you prefer round-based maps over Outbreak, that's fine, but Activision's numbers are telling them that Outbreak is bringing in the biggest player count of zombies that they've ever seen, so of course Outbreak's getting more attention than round-based maps, but we're only about, I want to say a good month and a half away from the supposed release of Berlin. We'll talk more about that in a second. Now, we also have the Samantha bundle, which went live about, a day and a half ago, and it's of course the Death's Veil skin for Samantha. But one thing about this nobody's really talking about is that if you actually inspect the MAC-10 that she's holding, you kind of have to rip the model to figure this out, but you'll notice that S and E, or S and G, are engraved on the MAC-10. Again, it might be an S and E, so Samantha and Eddie, I don't know about that one, right? I don't know if they're going to be a couple in the Colder Zombie story. Could it be S and G? You guys be the judge of that down below in the comments. If it's a G, then it does line up with the fact that Samantha and Gray seem to have a love interest plot going on right now in the Dark Aether storyline. Maybe they're just good friends, but it does seem like they're hinting at something thanks to the new intel. Thought I would bring that up. It does say Angel of Death on this MAC-10, so this could be foreshadowing something that's going to happen in the future of the Colder Zombie story. Again, cosmetics might not mean much. A lot of skins, of course, aren't canon to a majority of our operators, but specifically zombies in the past, we have seen lots of calling cards, emblems, intel, other cosmetics hint at the future of the story as we know it, so figured I would bring that up just in case. Craig Houston might want to write the story in a direction that isn't too predictable, but I think it's almost inevitable to see Samantha go berserk at some point with the Dark Aether powers that she still has. She may have kept some manipulation and some energy from the original universe, but her being in the Dark Aether for so long gave her purple eyes. She might go crazy at some point if she loses a loved one, whether it's Weaver, who seems to be a father figure to her, or a possible love interest like Dr. Gray. Losing any one of those people, or just maybe even Ravenov, could piss her the hell off to the point where she goes berserk. I mean, we can get kind of a spiritual successor to the scene we saw in Alpha Omega's intro where Samantha destroys that Apothecon, she could go crazy like that if we go into the Dark Aether at some point in a future DLC. Now, I also wanted to go into the fact that there was a leak in the Call of Duty Zombies Discord a good, what, 8-9 months ago? It was during the summer, and this leak was from a very anonymous person who has now deleted their Discord account. I won't go into his name, but if you guys remember, there were leaked images of D Machina posted online. Everybody thought they were fake, but the person who posted the images went ahead and claimed that we were going to see a Berlin Zombies map, specifically in Season 4. I look back at that and I'm like, holy crap, how did that exactly come true? I mean, he was on the money with that, exactly to a T, that we're going to see Berlin in Season 4, and what do you know, we are going to see that. So, he did mention it was probably going to be a Kino remake of sorts. I wish I had a screenshot still of what this guy was saying, but the guy deleted his account, so there's almost no evidence of this anymore. And I want to say there is a possibility that a part of Berlin will maybe have an area similar to Kino. I mean, if it's the entirety of Berlin or most of it, then I wouldn't be surprised walking past the Kino Theater as a bit of a reference, or maybe the Pack-a-Punch room is where it was in Kino back in the day. I mean, wouldn't be shocked to see that, but I definitely think Berlin is going to be a new experience overall. It just blows my mind that Treyarch is technically still on schedule from what we understand, at least. It looks like behind the scenes, the original plan was always to drop Firebase in Season 2, Outbreak probably at the end of Season 2, and then the Outbreak Quest Season 3, and then Berlin Season 4. But looking at how it has gone down, Firebase is done ahead of schedule, so they dropped that in Season 1 Reloaded, did Outbreak Season 2, and then Season 3 has brought us, you know, one of the Outbreak quests, along with other LTMs, updates to Onslaught and whatnot. They've kept zombies alive in the best way they could, but Berlin always being meant for Season 4 kind of has me thinking that, yeah, Treyarch knows exactly what's going on right now. I don't think COVID affected them as much as we might think. I was certainly believing that, yeah, maybe COVID did affect Treyarch in some bigger ways than we all expected if Berlin is truly going to be the last round-based map, but I don't think that's going to be the case, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So I want to go on a limb and say that Season 4 is more than likely going to be a zombies-themed season. Maybe it won't be, but wouldn't be shocked if the logo for Season 4 was purple, kind of signaling the Dark Aether being a vibe of the season. And we're going to see the second main quest added to Outbreak, which hopefully is as good as the first one, and then Berlin a couple of weeks after that in Season 4 Reloaded. So that's a lot of zombies content for one season alone, on top of other surprises that we haven't heard of yet. So I definitely think we can get some vibes of Operation Apocalypse Z, which was fairly successful during the Black Ops 4 season, so I think Activision may consider doing a zombies-themed season for the roadmap and for a majority of the content that releases. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments, but characters like Weaver, Kravchenko, or even Valentina being playable operators in the foreseeable future definitely makes a lot of sense, but maybe they'll save that for Season 6, which is when presumably we'll end up seeing the last Cold War Zombies experience at that time. They'll kind of go off on a bang and release any remaining Zombies content that we were all hoping for, but Season 4 is a strong possibility. I think this could be the season that wins people back, in case you guys were frustrated with a lack of Zombies content since Season 1. I mean, if you don't like Outbreak, I get how you feel, but if you like Outbreak, there's been plenty to do for the past couple of weeks, if not past couple of months, if that's your thing. But I think people who either haven't really given Outbreak a try or just don't like it are in for a rude awakening when they see that the direction of Black Ops Cold War Zombies isn't the same direction at all that Black Ops 4 went down, or even Black Ops 3. And a big reminder too, you paid $60 for D Machina. As a reminder, there was no contractual obligation for Treyarch to release any more Zombies maps after that, because there's no season pass. I hope that's really clear, because people out there saying they got scammed, there's no content. I'm like, you paid for one game and one Zombies map. That's it. Dead Ops Arcade 3 was a bonus over at launch, but there was never a promise for Firebase, Outbreak, Berlin, none of that. So I get the expectations are at a certain standard because of previous Black Ops games, but definitely remember the circumstances in which this game was developed in. And also remember there's no Battle Pass, I meant Black Ops Pass or Season Pass, so just worth bringing that up real quick. Now, another really important plot point that never really got wrapped up is the fact that Eddie owes a promise to the Shadowman, Richtofen himself. It was made very clear during Revelations and then some other intel, I think, during Black Ops 4. And Blood of the Dead really did set up something bigger for the Shadowman, which didn't really get touched on again. And obviously, because of budget cuts, rewrites, them working on COD 2020, elements of the original Aether story probably changed, but still ended up in the same ballpark that they originally had planned. Hopefully that makes sense. So, will the Accursed one, who is currently in the Dark Aether, terrorize our new version of Richtofen or Eddie that we'll end up seeing to kind of make sure that Eddie pays that debt. I mean, like I've been saying, I don't think the Richtofen that we know from Black Ops 4, 3, 2, I don't think that Richtofen is coming back in Cold War, but if Eddie grows up, we see him as an adult, he's a much different person, will the Accursed One still be expecting Eddie to pay that debt? I mean, there's definitely a connection to Richtofen and the Shadowman during the original Aether storyline, which got touched on a bit, but never really closed off in a way that kind of made that debt make sense. Hopefully that makes things clear. So whether or not we see Eddie as an adult is unclear. He could be the secret director of Requiem, absolutely. There's a lot going on behind the scenes with this mysterious director of Requiem who is starting his own operation to enter the Dark Aether himself without telling anybody else in Requiem what he's doing. So that's suspicious. He knows about the Accursed One as well. So could that be Eddie who somehow remembers that he owes a debt to the Accursed One or the Shadowman and is now like, all right, let me try to enter the Dark Aether to figure out what's going on? Could that be him? But as I talked about in my previous 32-minute Zombies video, which I'll have linked in the description, Eddie may not even be an adult in the Cold War Zombie story. What if Craig pulls a fast one on us and keeps Eddie as a child? What if because he wasn't an innocent soul back in the original Aether story, maybe he didn't end up on the other side like Samantha did at the end of Tag Their Toe In through that white light, and what if he was left behind or stuck in the in-between, stuck in the Dark Aether? I mean, what if he didn't age? So we could end up seeing him as an evil, demented child who wants revenge, similar to how we saw Samantha during Black Ops 1 as a child with a limited power. We could end up seeing something like that with Eddie in a future Cold War Zombies map, which would give Treyarch a bit of an excuse to not hire Nolan North again. Not that that's what Treyarch wants, but if Craig is saying that they don't want to bring back Richtofen or other characters in the same way we had them, and he wants to go in a new direction, then I think bringing back Eddie that way kind of saves them from some community backlash about not having Nolan North. But that's just the theory. Again, I go in more detail about that in a previous video. So also a quick story recap on what is going on and what to expect in the second Outbreak quest and even Berlin. We have Vogel, the scientist who discovered an entry to the Dark Aether during World War II. He is revealed to be Valentina's father, who we all assume is dead since he disappeared in the Dark Aether many, many years ago. But the Accursed One, which is Monty and the Shadowman combined, is now pretending to be Vogel and is communicating with Valentina to manipulate her into freeing him through a rift that she's about to open in Berlin. Meanwhile, she tricked Requiem into thinking Omega is defeated since we've stopped Operation Inversion, when in reality she leaked the blueprints of the operation to Ravenoff on purpose just to buy her more time into setting up her plan in Berlin, while Kravchenko is now aware of this greater entity, greater being, this greater evil, the Accursed One, in the Dark Aether, and now his interest in going in there himself to defeat him too. So there's like quite a few plot points going on. I would say almost 3 to 4 stories going on at once in the Dark Aether plot, which is going to lead to some real interesting plot twist in second Outbreak quest, even in Berlin. So the second Outbreak quest, presumably based on intel, will feature scientists from Omega trying to defect and maybe jump over to Requiem to help us out. I know there's intel between Ravenoff and Weaver discussing that. Maybe Dr. Peck is going to end up, you know, coming to the good side or sacrificing himself. That's a strong possibility. We also have gameplay of Outbreak on Crossroads, so that could be a new region that gets introduced over in the second Outbreak quest, or could be where we go at the end of the quest before a boss fight, similar to Ruka in the first quest. And then for Berlin, if Valentina is going to go there and try to open up a rift, what's going to happen, right? Does she open up this rift in this cutscene of sorts, and then everything with Dark Aether is freed, and then she'll find out that it's not actually her father, it's the Accursed One who manipulated her, she can then get killed? I mean, a lot of possibilities with what happens beyond that, but now when it comes to the Accursed One, what gets me is that he's acting just like the Shadowman from the original Aether storyline. The Shadowman pretended to be the devil during Mob of the Dead, Blood of the Dead, and started manipulating us into believing that he was the good half over Dr. Monty over in Revelations. So, master manipulator. That's a huge trait of the Shadowman. So the fact the Accursed One is doing the same things to Valentina has me thinking that if there's any Tag Their Toe In deniers out there, if anybody out there is denying the fact that we combine Monty and the Shadowman in the Tag Their Toe In Easter egg, this is almost more proof that, yeah, they're both one being again inside the Dark Aether right now. And he's manipulating Valentina the way that Shadowman tried to manipulate us many years back. Now, we also know that feeding the dragons in Outbreak essentially feeds the Accursed One. It gives him a source of power. It energizes him. So I think the foundation for setting up the Accursed One has been laid quite well. I mean, over in D Machina, we have the Accursed One one will rise again. So they've been setting this up for a hot minute now. So I think it'll feel like a payoff if they bring them out in the last DLC as a super Easter egg. How would you guys feel about a super Easter egg? What should they even do for one? I mean, I think Mephistopheles and the super Easter egg from Infinite Warfare really raised the bar for how super Easter eggs should work, truly rewarding players with the fact that they did all the quests in the previous maps, and by giving them an extra boss fight or, you know, bonus maps on top of that, that would work well. So Black Ops 4, to everybody's knowledge, is the first Black Ops iteration not to feature a super Easter egg in any way, shape, or form. Going from Black Ops 1 to Black Ops 4, yes, every game since then has had a super Easter egg, right? Black Ops 1 had the Big Bang Theory, if you did Call Dead in Shangri-La. Black Ops 2 had the End Game from Barry, if you did all the Victus maps. Black Ops 3 had the Arcade 5. We already know about Infinite Warfare. World War II had some bonuses. I mean, Exo Zombies even had a couple of surprises on top of that too, like a black and white quest or some other bullshit. So if Black Ops Cold War doesn't have a super Easter egg of sorts, I'd be shocked, but even seeing something as simple as Nocturne Totem Survival or the Bunker from Outbreak as bonus maps, or then seeing a Accursed 1 boss fight on the level of Mephistopheles, we'll love to see that at some point. Hopefully you guys have some better ideas about how they can execute that down below in the comments. But if you look at all the calling cards and artwork that we have in Zombies, and the ones they've been dropping since Season 1, Season 2, there is some major hinting going on here with dragons, big beings, you know, cities getting torn apart, Ordas. I mean, that could amount to nothing, sure, but what if that leads to another Great War? And I talked about this even before the release of Black Ops Cold War Zombies. I'm like, look, we didn't get the supposed Great War in Black Ops 4 for a number of reasons, right? Story-wise, Craig kind of resolved that without giving us a big-budget Zombies map that featured a Great War. He resolved it in the storyline, so we didn't need to see that in that game. As much as people wanted to see that in Black Ops 4, it didn't happen, but I said it from the get-go. I mean, teasing the Accursed 1 and D Machina definitely gives us a vibe of a new Great War that could begin at some point in the future of Black Ops Cold War. So what if every faction currently stuck in the Dark Aether starts going at it whenever all the beings and monsters and entities are released in Berlin? Everything can go at it, right? They might not all tee up against us, but, you know, you could have dragons fighting Ordas, you could have Dark Aether Nazis fighting some other creatures. I mean, you could see a mix of different factions stuck in there start going at it for ultimate control. And then the Accursed One on top of that could be pulling the strings to let that continue happening. He could want that chaos to continue, or he could have his own plan that we just don't know much about yet because of the intel. So that's leading to a new Great War. It doesn't have Keepers and Apothecans, that doesn't exist anymore, but the Accursed One himself still being alive definitely hints at something that is about to go down. I mean, Kravchenko wanting to kill the Accursed One and knowing about him now kind of hints that, yeah, we're gonna see potentially Requiem and Omega putting aside their differences to face a greater threat. It could be a bit cheesy, but imagine that dynamic, that rich storytelling of Weaver and Kravchenko having to shake hands or not kill each other for a second because they're dealing with a new Great War with the Accursed One, other mutants and creatures and all types of crap. Imagine that, right? I think Craig definitely has something like that planned up his sleeve. You never know. But now when it comes to The Giant, a Reese remake, that same person who leaked actual early images of Black Ops Cold War on the Discord server, he also mentioned another map codenamed The Giant. Now, whether that means it's the map after Berlin or something after that is unclear, but what if The Giant isn't referring to Reese, but is referring to the Accursed One himself, a giant god, a giant being? I mean, what if that's what it's referring to? But if not, maybe new intel that was discovered recently could be hinting at what that means. We have some intel referencing Die Glock, which is what the original MTD was based off of in the original Reese. I mean, Die Glock is based off of a Nazi conspiracy anyway, and Treyarch adapted that into the MTD story that we have from World at War Zombies. So if Die Glock is being mentioned in new intel for Cold War, could that be referring to them reintroducing teleportation or time travel or something in Germany that we might see after Berlin? I mean, the location in which Reese is at is about 3 hours away from Berlin anyway, so it's a logical place to go to after the Berlin Easter egg. It would work, but what would that mean, right? A Reese remake, or maybe just a German type of location where a part of Reese is at? I mean, they can give us a small section of it. What could that be talking about? One thing I was talking about in a previous Zombies video is whether or not the last Zombies DLC map that's round-based in this game takes place in the Dark Aether. So what if that's still the case? You go into the Dark Aether for whatever the objective is, to fight the Accursed One, or to find Kravchenko, something like that, but then you see areas of the Victus maps. Transit Dire is buried, you even find Victus that could be dead, it could be evil at this point, and then you could even see a part of the Riese, essentially where, quote-unquote, it all began back in the day. I mean, Nacht was a true beginning of zombies, but the Riese is a real rich plot point for Aether as we knew it. So we could see, you know, remakes or parts of those original maps in the Dark Aether in the last round-based experience for Cold War. That's kind of what I'll leave it at. Now, in my personal opinion, the Cold War zombie season will end with what looks like Die Maschine, Dead Ops Arcade, Firebase, Outbreak, Berlin, a mysterious last DLC map, whether it's a giant, Dark Aether, Great War type experience. And then if they want to go a step further, I would love to see a Green Run Outbreak experience on its own in a separate playlist where it's just one big area of Green Run. There's objectives in each location, right? Bus depot, diner, farm. Talked about that before. They want to go a step further, even introduce us to the Ural Mountains map, which talked about in a previous video many times. That Battle Royale map could be adapted into zombies for a bigger Outbreak experience if the game could handle it. I mean, there's underwater caves in the actual Ural Mountains in real-life Russia, and the cave is called the Orta, so could they tie it into zombies somehow? Absolutely. But in terms of other remakes like Victus maps or even porting over the original Zombies Chronicles, whether or not that's even likely at this point, I'm going to leave that up to whether or not Treyarch even helps Sledgehammer with Call of Duty 2021 zombies. If they don't help Sledgehammer at all with their zombies mode or whatever the hell they're working on, Treyarch should have plenty of time to do a year or two for Cold War with bonus maps next year as they're working on COD 2023. But if they're helping Sledgehammer with their zombies iteration, all their focus is probably going to go to that and not Cold War anymore. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts about the new secrets regarding Season 4 zombies, the potential Der Riese remake, and even a potential new Great War on top of that? Really hope you've enjoyed, and see you in tomorrow's Bombcast.